the golf world in turmoil as we hit the U.S. Open in another special event episode. Diamond Diehards is on. Joe Rizzo here bringing you golf for this one. Yet another special event is upon us. We just did the Stanley Cup Finals with the great Jess Myers, and we welcome back for the hat trick, Mike Appelbaum. We have done the Masters, we have done the PGA, and now we will do the U.S. Open ahead of the Open Championship, which is I'd still just call it the British Open, because if everybody wanted to call their Open the Open Championship, we would never know where it is. So we will do that for you. And we want you to know that we appreciate your support up to this point, and we'd like more of it. So tell a friend to tell a friend if you like Diamond Diehards. Follow us everywhere on social media at Diamond Diehards, and hit that subscribe button wherever you are listening to this podcast. If it's more than likely Apple Podcasts, that's good. Spotify, Amazon, TalkShoe, and if you like the video, we're putting them up always on the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Diamond Diehards, and also YouTube. So the videos make it all the way around. They're pretty cool to look at. You want the eye candy, because that's here we are. And it's a fun follow. We're breaking out. We're not just doing baseball anymore. We're trying to break out and do some more things thanks to demand. And so far, it's gone well. And the first person who helped us move into this new realm is Mike Appelbaum, and Apple joins us again for the hat trick. Welcome back, Mike.
Great to be here again. Thanks for having me.
So the U.S. Open at the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts. It's even the golf people, like the ones who follow, like the golf diehards, right? We probably have a few golf diehards that are on here that are getting their usual baseball fix, and more or less the others are the casual ones. And on Father's Day you might be sitting there and you're flipping through some of the games, and you'll catch the US Open and you'll be into it. So but even the diehard golf fans are like, wait a minute, this Saudi tour, the LIV Tour, the Phil Mickelson and Kevin Na and a bunch of other guys, like, all of a sudden they're here at the U.S. Open. We thought they weren't going to be here. Now they're here. So it's like, who do I root for? What do I do? So Apple, what I'm doing is, I not only, of course I have like the odds up in front of me, and I'm looking at that, but I just went through and tried to just figure out who's here and who's not besides Mickelson. And the thing that really shows is that it looks like what we would expect to be a normal field. So really not much has changed in like a week's time, right, since the LIV Tour debuted.
That's right. We're, I don't think it really changes, how you think about making picks for this tournament. I guess there's a little bit of a different element to it, some other things at play, but wouldn't impact how I would think about making picks.
Well, the one thing that impacts how I make picks is I always pick Charles Schwartzel at a big tournament. And as you know, and or text, when the LIV tournament was coming on, the inaugural event, I'm looking for it on DraftKings. I'm like, where is this thing? I'm just going to blindly bet Charles Schwartzel to win it. And it wasn't there. And he won. He's the all-time leader in everything in the LIV Tour as of this 4.75 million, first place in the individual, first place in the team. And your silent PGA pick, which was you were digging in a little bit offline after our PGA episode, your Billy Horschel pick, right? It was a dollar, what was it? A dime short and a dollar late, whatever.
Yeah, I was ahead of my time on that one. Billy Horschel I picked as the sleeper for the PGA. But a little too early on that, as he actually won the tournament last week. So called the sleeper pick too early, but now he's coming in with momentum to the U.S. Open.
All right, so let's talk about that. Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas come in as the co-favorites as far as the betting is concerned. Plus 1,100. Actually, McIlroy's plus 1,000 and Thomas is plus 1,100. So that's 10 to 1, 11 to 1. John Rahm 12 to 1. Scotty Scheffler 14 to 1. Xander Schauffele, of course, those guys always have to be grouped together because the names are fun to say. He is 16 to 1, and then you're into the 20 to 1s and up. So, where do you start here with with your pick when you're analyzing it, Mike? Do you look at the country club in Brookline and see what kind of course it is, how it plays, and then um, take horses for courses, so to speak, or do you see who's hot? It's a combination of all those. Like the horses for courses thing hasn't really panned out as well
No, it
in
hasn't. I mean,
majors.
I look at that more as if there's certain golfers that just tend not to play well at certain places. If maybe sometimes certain folks might not play well at Augusta or other venues that they go to frequently. But here, I think thinking about more, coming into this now, more of a seasoned body of work to look at, who's hot right now and who's in good form. Um, and if you look at it, it really is. It's the Scotty Scheffler, Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy seem to be the golfers in the best form right now. I'd also put Will Zalatoris in that camp. Not quite a sleeper pick, but a fringe sleeper pick because he's just been delivering in all the majors consistently.
Yeah, he's so if you're a betting person, there's usually ways to cover that. Like you could bet the outright winner, the top 5, top 10, top 20, top 30. Um, and Zalatoris is at 30 to 1 to win, 650, 6.5 to 1 basically to finish in the top 5, and 3.5 to 1 or 3 1/3 to 1 to finish in the top 10. So you could get you can get a solid payout if you think that he's going to perform again, and he's definitely on my list. I usually, if I'm going to bet anything on these guys, like I will bet something on them to win, even though I'm like, I like them to finish in the top 5, top 10, but I don't think they're going to be the winner. But you always just bet them to win anyway, like just to cover it. Um, so you mentioned those guys and the top dogs. I think like when I'm looking at it, Mike, I try to see if I feel like it's one of these years where we're going to get somebody to either repeat as a champion in the tournament or be a player to win a second major in the year. So you take your two major winners to start with, Justin Thomas and Scotty Scheffler, right? And those are the first two guys I'm looking at, and I'm trying to say, okay, do I think these guys, are going to be carrying that sort of major momentum, or are we going to split up the majors this year? And I kind of was a little disappointed with the way Scheffler showed up in the PGA. Maybe he hit the banquet circuit a little too hard after winning the Masters, because he's really like, if you just look at it from the beginning of the year on in, like he's really been the best player, and it's there's a gap to number two, right?
Mm-hmm.
The last few weeks notwithstanding. So I wonder if this is the point where he turns it back on. I think it might be, um, and I'm definitely going to cover him as a possible winner here. Scotty Scheffler's he is very high on my list.
I also put Scotty Scheffler way up there on the list. I think he's just playing too good golf too consistently to think he'll be anywhere but in the mix come the weekend.
Okay. Is he is he your number one overall pick? Do you have a bunch of ones? Do you have like sometimes in horse racing we pick like if we're picking multiple legs of of horse races, we pick, who is our A picks, who are our Bs, and who are our Cs. That wouldn't be the worst way to kind of pick this. Scheffler's definitely an A for me, and I might have a couple of others that are in that A category.
Yeah, but I would put him there too. Though push come to shove, I think Scotty Scheffler would be my top pick.
Okay. Who else is in your group that top? I mean, you can't pick everybody, right? Like you gotta make a stand at some point. You can't bet every one of them. You can't pick every one of them because if you picked every one, then what good is it, right? It's not really it's not really a lot of fun. But who else is in in that top group for you?
So I like also in that top group, I like Jordan Spieth, Colin Morikawa, and maybe this is a tournament that John Rahm will do well in.
Boy, I tell you, I feel like I keep going back to the well with John Rahm, and I'm kind of I'm off him for this one. Colin Morikawa, I'm usually on. He's got that 7:18 a.m. tee time on Thursday, and he's in that group with John Rahm, and I guess Sepp Straka is kind of the other prominent player that's also teeing off at that time, and then Spieth is in the group after them. I'm wondering if that's going to have a good positive effect. Sometimes that early tee time on the first day, if you're a front runner, that's a good way to get out ahead, and you know you don't have to worry about like the course having been played in front of you, right? Like you're it's pretty fresh. There's only if 20 golfers or something that would be, or maybe less, that would be ahead of them. So there's not going to be much wear on the golf course. But the flip side is you don't know necessarily how the course is going to play, and you're the kind of the guinea pigs, right? So
Yep.
I wish that I had a stat of how does Colin Morikawa do when he's in the early group, but I
Yeah.
felt that was a factor with Tiger Woods making the cut in the previous tournament where he had
Yeah,
the
look,
early.
I think at Southern Hills there was such a disparity in weather depending on when you played during the day. That one definitely impacted the results at Southern Hills. Not sure we'll get the exact that repeating up in Boston.
Yeah, I don't think
Um,
that I don't think that we're gonna get that
you
there.
know,
I think the
one
weather is supposed to be pretty consistent for the weekend.
one thing to take a look at is the last time you've had somebody that wasn't a kind of a big bodied long hitter win the U.S. Open was actually 2015 when Jordan Spieth won at Chambers Bay. But if you look at all the U.S. Opens since then, it's been the big long hitters that have won. Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka twice, Gary Woodland, Bryson DeChambeau, and then Big John Rahm. So it's been a number of years since you had a player win this that wasn't a long hitter. I think that maybe this is the year that you have somebody else that's not just a bomber that wins it.
That
Course only measures 7,200 yards, which is basically a pitch and putt for some of these guys.
okay. Which brings me to look. I always Xander Schauffele is the other guy that I always seem to pick, and I feel like again that it's lining up for him. Like it's right there, and he's been playing well. He's just been in. He's had the one bad round, and I wonder if he could shake that maybe on a course that's a little bit shorter. And if he gets rid of that one bad round,
Yeah.
he's one of these guys that could go 62, 62. Like there's not a lot of guys on the tour that could do that, but he's one of them, in my opinion. Um, we're not even talking. Neither of us are talking about Rory McIlroy here. He's been very good and very consistent. We're not talking about necessarily Justin Thomas yet, but Scheffler and Schauffele are in my A group. I'm adding them in there. I'm going to use Zalatoris. Who else do you have in your top flight there?
So in addition to Zalatoris, I like Morikawa. I'm keeping in there and Jordan Spieth.
Okay. What about when we start to go a little bit down the list? I got an angle. It's a little bit of a name angle here. I gotta find the other odds. Okay. I like both of the Camerons. I like Cameron Smith and I like Cameron Young. And they're
Yeah,
pretty good odds on Cameron Young. He's like 50 to 1. Cameron Smith
yeah.
is like 22 to 1, I think.
Cameron Young, I
Both
think, got third at the PGA Championship.
Yep.
Seems like a solid up and comer. I like that pick.
Yeah.
He's been playing really well. I think my probably more of a longer odd sleeper for me, who I've been liking this year ever since he won a tournament is Sepp Straka, who I'm seeing at 27,000 to 1. Um, Sepp Straka is my deep sleeper here to maybe not win it, but to do well at the tournament.
Yeah, he's like 22nd in the world rankings right now.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. Let me see. I'm
he's
looking
been
for
playing
this.
great.
I'm looking for him in this group over here. Uh, for the well, Billy Horschel and Cameron Young are the same odds almost. Billy Horschel's like the next guy. He's like 55 to 1. You're not going to take him to
Yeah,
go back to back here?
I already used him on the sleeper pick. I'm not going back to back.
Okay. Defending champ Bryson DeChambeau, 80 to 1, gonna be in the LIV Tour apparently, has been a little bit banged up. For us he was an easy toss out of the Masters, and that was he was done by like the first 9 holes pretty much that day. Um, I'm a little more wary of throwing him out here just because I feel like as the defending champ, I feel like at least he's got a better chance to make the cut. I really wouldn't be surprised if he did anything. I wouldn't be surprised if he withdrew. I wouldn't be surprised if he make the cut. I'd be a little bit surprised if he won the whole thing, but I wouldn't be floored or shocked. What do you think of Bryson DeChambeau?
So I'm fading or throwing out Bryson DeChambeau until proven otherwise.
So
Uh,
is it an inconsistency of play? Is it
I
the
think it's I
injury
think he's
stuff?
not I think he's not quite on his way back from his rehabilitation. He had the injury. Um, I just don't think he's ready to put together a complete tournament yet. So I'm throwing him out.
So even not even to make the cut. So how shocked would you be if he
I
made the
wouldn't be
cut?
shocked if he made the cut, but I wouldn't bet on him to do anything more than make the cut.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at him to make the cut. We'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna do it. If he's long odds to make the cut, I might just take a shot at it because I think sometimes you do
Yeah,
actually see that. I keep looking for Sepp Straka in my list here, and I can't. I know
I think
what his tee time
he's
is.
ranked 50th in the world right now. I think
Well, I have him listed here as 22nd in the world rankings, but I'm looking for him in the odds. And
he's down with the Troy Merritts and Stuart Sinks in the world in my odd sheet.
is he really that far? That could be a great pick. Hold on, I might have to steal this pick. I probably shouldn't be doing. I probably should have prepared this before. Mickelson. Let's see. Okay, he's like 200 to 1.
Yep.
Oh, there he is. Straka. He's 200, yeah, 250 to 1. He's plus 25,000. So, wow. Yeah, I'm total if Mike Appelbaum is picking him there, he's definitely there's a $2 bet going on Sepp Straka to win top 5 and top 10. I can tell you that right now. You're putting Sepp Straka in there. Um, so Mickelson, he goes out and he's just been a lightning rod for this whole thing. He kind of at times he backs down from his comments, and there's all these books coming out and they're talking about he's losing, zillions of dollars gambling, and he needs the money or doesn't need the money, and he's playing, on this live tour and he's the centerpiece of it, but he has a lifetime membership to the PGA Tour that he feels that he's earned, and he feels like it should be his choice whether or not he uses that and exercises that. So, I mean, that's all well and good, but that definitely does sound like he wants to have his cake and eat it too. I mean, I think there is um, probably, a bunch of precedent there with, competitive agreements and things like that where, otherwise like every PGA Tour member could just kind of go play for any rival thing and they could make up their own tour if they want, right? And we're kind of way past that. So it's a pretty interesting debate. Um, I, for me, I want to just first look at it from a pure golf side before I get into the political side of it. But from a pure golf side, it kind of reminds me a little bit of when they make these startup mixed martial arts promotions to have the ultimate goal of battling against the UFC and taking over from that, for them. and I'm just not quite sure this is the same thing, but it would definitely eat into it. Um, and the fact that Charles Schwartzel won the first one gives, makes me interested in it, to be honest with you. Because everybody's making fun of it, like nobody's gonna watch that, blah blah. And I'm like, Charles Schwartzel is my favorite golfer. Like I'm gonna pay attention, and like sure enough, we were. Can you add anything, to that kind of makes sense? Whether it's opinion or observation.
Look, I think the PGA Tour has drawn a line in the sand. Players are still going. I think I think we'll see more players going to the LIV Tour. Um, at some point, my sense is that over time it'll just force the PGA Tour to react and make some modifications. Um, don't see the PGA Tour folding, long term. Um, but I think LIV will struggle to probably really become a force as a league. It'll be a nice other option, but I think it'll just force the PGA Tour to make some accommodations and some changes for the long term that are player friendly.
I
Um,
just wonder if those things are going to be like appearance fees, which has really been, the opposite of what the PGA Charter is about, right? Like it's you win what you earn,
yeah, look, I
and
think some folks like a Dustin Johnson wants to just play less golf, and there's certain minimums you have to play on the PGA Tour. And a lot of the top players actually, barely make the minimum number of tournament appearances that they're required to make to qualify for the Tour Championship and the FedEx Cup. So, I think could increase payouts for the PGA Tour, maybe could help with media rights, etc. Um, but I think ultimately the PGA Tour will, I don't think it's going to have a major shockwave for the PGA Tour. I am
yeah,
interested to see that uh, these folks are able to play in the majors. I think that was a question. Would they be banned from playing the majors? But clearly, it looks like the answer for now is no.
it's an interesting one, and then there's also the moral part of it, right? Where you're taking this money from the Saudis, and the Saudis are clearly doing this to try to improve their image around the world, right? So the thing is, like the flip side that I haven't heard to that, which is, listen, I mean, like the NBA is doing business in China, right? Like, I mean, and look what's going on over there. There's plenty of human rights violations over there. Look at the Olympics, right? Like, there's a lot of that. It's the whole Olympics basically is in Qatar. It's a pretty messed up place. But the part of it that is kind of swept under the rug a little bit here. Just I don't know if it's swept under the rug, Mike. I just don't know if it's been really addressed. I haven't heard anybody say it. If the Saudis, in fact, are doing this and throwing all this money at it to improve their view and their standing around the world, doesn't that empower these players somewhat to, the ones who are taking their money to say, hey, listen, we're taking your money, we're going over representing you, and now it's time for you guys to like raise your standards. Like, what are we doing here? Like that to me, if they're taking their money, it sort of gives them a voice. And what are they gonna say? Well, okay, you no, your opinion's no good over here anymore. Go back to the PGA Tour. And then at that point, you've taken however much of their money that you've gotten, and you've exposed them to say, look, I took the money, I went there because I wanted to have a voice. I wanted to be in the center of it, and I wanted to see if I could improve things and put some pressure on these people who have all these human rights violations, right? Like, doesn't that like eventually that's kind of how it happens in the history of the world, I think. Um, Short of countries being completely annihilated by war and then having to be brought up like under thumbs, like after world wars and things like that. Um, Nobody's really talking about that. And if you tasked some of these players like Mickelson with saying, "Hey, Phil, like, I mean, I haven't heard one person ask him the question and say, well, do you think that you could have a positive effect by doing this?" And I would like to hear their answer because they probably would. They have these people's attention. they're in the ears of the right people. You know, the people who are getting the human rights violations committed against them are not the ones with the money that are paying the golfers, right?
That's
The
right.
ones who are in charge are the ones who are paying them. So you're being paid by and talking to the ones that are in charge. Maybe you could start to
I
spread
mean,
some
maybe
good
you can
things there.
first they'd have to acknowledge that the country would have to acknowledge that human rights violations were occurring as a first step. But yeah, maybe the players over time can use it for good to apply pressure. I think right now they've been pretty mum on it as they're collecting their cash for signing up for this. Not sure you'll see that right away as the checks are being written.
Well, but you know what? If they know that look, what's the worst thing that could happen? You get sent back and you say, you come back and you have a hell of a story to tell. You say, "Look, as part of my demands for the 125 million in appearance fees plus whatever I was going to make, I wanted to see if they could show me some improvement somewhere on something, right? I mean,
Yeah,
and then they said
it's a good
they
idea.
they said no, so you know what? That changed my decision. I mean, it's not really that much of a stretch. I
We
I,
should
I don't think.
we should get Phil on here and ask him if that's part of his plan.
Yeah, we're working on it. We got Phil. Let's face it. If you told me you could have Phil Mickelson or Charles Schwartzel on the podcast, I mean, I'm picking Charles. Like Phil, maybe could we split it? Could we split the spot? I got to get Charles. I got to get Charles. Um, I'd like to see one of these golfers stand up and do that or say that and make some kind of a stand. I think it's possible that they could. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if it
I
happens.
think
I
so.
just thought that was the one piece I felt like that I could bring to it that I haven't seen or heard anywhere else. And you tell me if you have. I haven't
I
heard
think I
anything.
think all the attention's been the other way, which is how can these folks accept all this money and just pretend that these human rights issues don't exist.
I the other leagues are all doing it. So you know why not these golfers? I mean, these golfers are taking the money directly. And I think that they have a chance to make an impact there, at least shine a light on it at some point. Maybe not this year, maybe not next, but at some point after they've taken all the money and lined their pockets with it, they could talk about how they had those conversations, or
Yep.
come public and try to do something. All right, I think that we got all of them in. You got your long shot bombs, you got your front runners, you got a nice little group over there, and I think we got a nice little show in. We're gonna give you a couple of little plugs here. Gatto Acupuncture and Wellness in Glen Rock, New Jersey. Book online at gattoacu.com, GATTOACU.com, or call 551-212-3845. Make sure you're taking care of your health and wellness. Gatto Acupuncture in Glen Rock, New Jersey. Again, book online, gattoacu.com, or 551-212-3845. If you are looking to relocate to or from the Northern Valley, the Pascack Valley, or anywhere in northern New Jersey, you got to go to the Mascolo Group. Gary and Michelle will take care of whichever it is you want to buy, you want to rent, you want to do selling, you want to be a renter, whatever, they'll help you out. Go to GaryMascolo.com, GaryMascolo.com, or call 201 615 3665. Again, 201 615 3665, or go to GaryMascolo.com. FMS Graphics is a family run, family owned business for the last 50 years, so they will take care of all your printing and promotional needs. Go to fmsgraphics.com. fmsgraphics.com for all your printing and promotional needs in just a couple of clicks. And of course, if you are cruising around with your ride in the Bergen or Passaic County areas in New Jersey, which most of you are, the analytics told me that, then you have to hit Fairlawn and go to 1716 River Road and go to Big Ed's Car Wash, a 118-foot tunnel. The best treatment you're going to get for your vehicle inside and out will come at Big Ed's Car Wash in Fairlawn, New Jersey, and tell them that Diamond Die Hard sent you. Okay, that is going to do it for, wow, our third golf special, all with Mike Appelbaum, who's been amazing. We'll be back to do the Open Championship for, the British Open in a few weeks. And until then, we want you to follow the podcast everywhere you find podcasts. That's Diamond Diehards. And also on social media at Diamond Diehards. That will be a wrap for Mike Appelbaum. This is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.